Simchas Torah, the Frierdiker Rebbe says that the gates of heaven are all open. The Jew could have whatever he wants.
So now they're closed?
So it's still true. We're now after Simchas Torah, but we're still holding before Shabbos Bereishis. And the Frierdiker Rebbe said that until Shabbos Bereishis, you could still chaparayim. Why? He gave a mashal. He says there's a verdict. You know that during Shana Shana, Yom Kippur, Shana Rabbah, the year's budget, the year's activities assigned and sealed. That's until the Shana Rabbah. Then it's sent out to the post office. But he said it doesn't leave the heichal, it doesn't leave the actual chamber. It was signed and sealed, it's put in the envelope, but it only leaves the chamber after Shabbos Bereishis. After Shabbos Bereishis, that's when it can always change things, but until Shabbos Bereishis, it's still doable. A Jew could still change his his outlook for the year, his physical outlook, his spiritual outlook, and before Shabbos Bereishis. And so therefore, with that koyach, and Shabbos, we're coming from Simchas Torah, and Shabbos Bereishis elevates in Simchas Torah, so we'd like to wish all our listeners and all the Jewish people a year filled with blessings from the Eibishter's filled, open, holy, overflowing, and expansive hand in all matters. Those that need to be healthy should be healthy. Those that need to have Shalom Bayis should have Shalom Bayis. Those that need to have kids should have kids. Those that need to get married should get married. Those that need to have parnasa should have parnasa. All the brachas that people need and want. And the Rebbe would always say the main bracha and the innermost bracha that we should have a year of redemption. That we should be redeemed. Being redeemed also means that a person should realize that he needs to be redeemed. That's part of being redeemed, right? Okay, now we're coming from Simchas Torah, and this year we have few days in between. We're going into Shabbos Bereishis. Shabbos Bereishis is always also Shabbos Mevarchim Chodesh Cheshvan. We're going right into the next month. So Shabbos Bereishis serves as the bridge between Yom Rosh Hashanah, right? Tishrei. The word Tishrei is the same oisius as Bereishis, as the head. Bereishis also means the head, the beginning. And then we have the bridge. Shabbos Bereishis serves as the bridge between Tishrei and the world. And so, what is the message of Simchas Torah? What is the message of Shabbos Bereishis? The Rebbe says that throughout Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and Sukkot, hopefully, ideally, a Jew, he is trying to work on establishing a connection with himself and with the Eibishter. Comes Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and it's all leading to Simchas Torah. What happens in Simchas Torah? Jew dances joyously with the Torah. What is he dancing about? That there's nothing besides the Eibishter. He's happy that he's a Jew, that he has the Torah. That gives him the koyach. Simchas Torah is the bridge. At the bridge, Simchas Torah is where Tishrei is crystallized. That's when a Jew, throughout Tishrei, you're dealing with spiritual matters. Simchas Torah, you're dealing with your feet, your body. Breaking I wouldn't say breaking your bones, but you're getting worn out. You're dancing. You're becoming always klap to Shana. Simchas Torah, we're dancing. Nothing very deep, nothing very lofty. Simchas Torah is about bringing it down into day-to-day life. So you come after Simchas Torah, you fall back into work. The next day you get back to work. The boss is chasing you with the whip. You get back to work. You're thinking about yesterday's Farbrengen and So seemingly what's going on over, but that is the whole Nakuda. Simchas Torah, if you're not going to go back into the world, there will be no need for Simchas Torah. When the Jewish people, before Matan Torah, there was no need for Simchas Torah. The whole idea of Torah is that Bereishis Bara Lakim on Simchas Torah, we finish the Torah and right away start the Torah. What do we say when we start the Torah? Bereishis Bara Lakim as a Shemaim Asad, the Eibishter created the world. So Simchas Torah right away telling a Jew that there is a world. But he has to keep in mind that Eibishter created the world. Not only that, does the Rebbe use the Lashon Torah macht uftevelt. You come from Simchas Torah and Shabbos Bereishis, you come with the perspective that the Torah changes the reality. There is a reality. You cannot ignore the reality. The Rebbe once spoke a number of times that a Jew cannot say that all that exists is the Eibishter and myself. A Jew has to take in mind that the world exists. There's a dira b'tachtoinim. Bereishis bara Elokim, the world exists, but, and this is where the big but is, the person has to know that the world exists, but the world there's somebody that created the world, and there is a purpose, there is a goal, there is a plan, and you have to be part of the plan and realize what the plan is. Don't get caught up with the external flares, with the external way how things are. And this is the Rabbi speak many times, many years. The Rabbi focused on the first Rashi of Parshas Chumash Bereishis, that Rashi says that the Torah should have started with the first mitzvah. The Torah is not a history book. The Torah doesn't have to tell you the whole story of the creation of the world, and Adam, and Noach, and Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and Tzias Mitzrayim. We could have had a nice book, history of the Jewish people, a separate book. Torah is a book of laws. Tell me what to do and not to do. What do I need to know all this history? So the Rashi says, why does Torah tell it to the nations of the world will come and say, you guys are thieves, are robbers, you stole Palestine from the Palestinians, you conquered the land of 7 nations, so you should tell them, no, the Eibusher created the whole world, and he created it and gave it first to the Goyim, to the nation. And he was the one that gave it then. So the whole thing is a little bit, the whole Torah should change its order just in order to be able to answer the UN, to be able to answer the Palestinians, requires explanation. But there's a deeper message here as well, one which we could all relate to. The Rebbe says, a Yid comes into the world. Yeah? And what is his job in the world? He could say, how do I view the world? The world has pre-existing conditions. If you go into the financial market, you can't create your own ideas. Certain ways how things work. You go to business, if you can tell your boss you should run the company differently than it was planned out by the greatest strategists will send you flying. The world has ways how it works. You go to a doctor, it's either he'll tell you, take the vaccine, you don't take the vaccine, but there is data, there is statistics. Everything in the world has its gedorim, has its definition. It's not a game of it's not a game of dice. So a person could say, Torah is beautiful, but I come into the world, I can't just come into the world and do my own thing in the world. The world has pre-existing conditions. And these pre-existing conditions, so to say, precede Torah. Before, these things came first. You can't just walk in and change the world. And not only that, they'll say, the world says, no, we understand that religion might be good for some people, and it will even give you freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom from religion, freedom of religion. We'll let you do what you want. But just keep in mind that your religion is for your spiritual, if you want to get in a high, you want to chesros in your synagogue, it's fine. We don't object. The financial market doesn't object if you want to keep Shabbos, whatever it is. But to say that Gashmis itself, you want to steal, you want to conquer physicality, you want to say no, the real existence of everything in life. If I have a WhatsApp group, I should use it. If I have a business group, I should use it to throw in a word about Yiddishkeit. I should try to conquer, use it out for Kedusha. That's trespassing, right? No trespassing allowed. You go, if there's no soliciting, no trespassing, respect my property, your property, respect mine. So if you want to conquer things, obviously you have to do things up in Torah, but Torah definitely says take things of the world and try to conquer them. What does it mean in my avodas Hashem? Even the Rebbe says, even the times or the activities that I do that are dedicated to my business, whatever it is, I should try to steal it, use it out for Kedusha. I have a business meeting, throw in a word of Torah. Some person will say, what are you doing? Business is business, Torah is Torah. Don't try to mix it to Imanavshech. If it's a Farbrengen, okay, you could say, make it Torah class, make it Torah lunch and learn. When we're having a business meeting, you don't have to ask permission to throw in a word of Torah before you begin and when you finish. So what's the idea of conquering Gashmis? Makes no sense. Let God live and let live. So the Torah says, when you start dealing with the world, this was part of the plan. They should dafka wanted a world that will come and claim that you are conquering us. You're taking something which you're trying to superimpose something on the world. But this is what the purpose of, but if you know that this is what the purpose of creation was, you'll realize you're not superimposing something on the world. You just have to reveal its inner purpose. So yes, on the surface it looks like you're coming and you're stealing Gashmis. I have time, I need to sleep. My doctor tells me I need to sleep for 12 hours a day in order to be successful. But, so I'm going to steal. I'll wake up an hour early to learn Chassidus. So if I'm stealing, in other words, it's the body. Torah says I have to take care of my body. So I don't, Torah, what's going on over here? Am I supposed to respect my body? Once in a while, try to sneak away a little bit of time to learn. So the vart is that this is exactly what David wants. David wants a setting where Dira B'tach Torah means David creates a world where originally he lets Gashmius reign supreme. He brings out the Jewish people, gives them the Torah, says, now it's your job to conquer Eretz Yisrael. Now it's your job to conquer Gashmius. So Jew says, hold on. What does that mean? So David says, you should know why, because you're not coming out of nowhere. The whole purpose of creation to begin with was to conquer Gashmius. This is the way it works. David wants there to be a little bit of friction, so to say. David wants that it shouldn't just be straightforward that the world was created to serve David. But when a Jew will persevere, then he'll reveal that this was the whole purpose of why things were created in the first place. So what's the message? Message is a person wakes up the next morning after Simchas Torah and he's back to business. So you can look at Simchas Torah as a party, like a party 20 years ago, or 10 years ago. It was a nice haze, a nice high, has nothing to do with my life. No. So you say no. The opposite is true. The whole reason why you had Simchas Torah yesterday was because you're going to go to work today. The Torah needs to permeate creation. So so Simchas Torah, the world doesn't object to you to farbring on Simchas Torah. But Simchas Torah is telling you that tomorrow you go to work and you're going to be involved in physical things, you're going to whatever it is, and you don't have the high, you befedish don't have the highest Simchas Torah. The gates of heaven, whatever you want to call it, the way they were revealed on Simchas Torah are not revealed that way throughout the year. But you're taking the Torah with you. When you're taking the Torah with you, in other words, not only you're taking Torah, you're taking the Torah's perspective on the world with you, and particularly the first pasuk. Bereishis bara Elokim, they created the world.
So that's why we read it on.
And there's a world. Yeah, that's why you read it in Simchas Torah. And there's a world. But you should know that first of all, your job is to bring light into the world. And you should know the whole reason why Torah focuses on the creation of the world is that you shouldn't think that the world is essentially, inherently contradiction to Torah. Yes, David created the world that runs its own way, that has its own rules and regulations. But when a Jew comes and uses the mouth of Kedusha, he's not genetically modifying them. It's not true. What he's doing is he's bringing out the true purpose. But this is one akudah. This is one thing we come from Simchas Torah. We also come, Simchas Torah is the idea of Achdus Yisrael. All Jews are equal. Why are all Jews equal? Because in learning Drasha and Yom Kippur, I can't say all Jews are equal. Some person did a higher level of tshuva, lower level of tshuva. Even Sukkot, we all know the idea of unity, but the unity is expressed through mitzvahs, sitting in the sukkah. Simchas Torah, you dance with your feet. Dancing with the feet, it's the same. You look all the 770, Baruch Hashem, one thing, whatever it is, you could call what it is. You see Achdus, you have different people that don't open to shul the whole year. Simchas Torah is the day that they come.
Yeah, but they don't know what they're dancing about.
Maybe they know better than you. Rabbi Shalom told us a story by Rabbi, and he said that he was once in a taxi with a non-religious Jew. And he had his way of striking up conversations with him about Yiddishkeit and about the Jews. He wasn't religious. So Rabbi Shai told him, you do care about the Yiddishkeit. So Rabbi Shai has a very, Rabbi Shai is very, so to say, pshittastic, very tzimustic, is very sincere. So he told them, so let me ask, if they would put a fire or whatever it is, and they would say, either you denounce your connection to the Eibush or Judaism, or you'd be thrown to the fire. What are you going to do? He has asking this, the non-religious taxi driver somewhere in New York. So the guy started thinking. He said the guy became very emotional. Red in the face, says, I'll throw myself in the fire. He says, and you know what? I'll probably throw myself in the fire before the guys with the long coats and the long beards.
Wow.
That's what he said.
It's probably right.
It's probably right.
We're a bunch of fakers.
In Simchas Torah, you see Achdus. What is Achdus? You see that every Jew is really connected. So comes Simchas Torah is a very, very powerful day. It comes, right, that's what the Eibusher says, Koshalai Pridaschem, right? What's the whole idea of Simchas? In the Medrash it says, Sukkot was a big party. It says all the nations of the world, all the Yoshpizin, all the Yidden came to Beis Hamikdash. The Eibusha says, I want to spend one more day with you. Why? It's hard for me to separate. So what happens? You separate. So what's going on? Imagine you make a party, you have a whole family reunion, and you're going out to the park, and you're going out to this place, to that place, and taking pictures. Then before it's over, you guys say, no, let's just make another small outing somewhere. What difference is it going to make? It's going to change anything? Well, the say a little bit, fine, yeah, your mother, your father, they want you to stay longer. So Chassidus Taish is a very deep word. Koshalai Pridatzcha means not that the Eibusha says, not only the Eibusha says it's hard for me to see you guys saying goodbye. It's hard for me to see how you guys are departing from each other. So if so, what is Simchas Torah going to accomplish? Simchas Torah is much deeper than the rest of Sukkot. Simchas Torah reveals every Jew's connection with the Torah, and it gives us the realization, the highlight when we go into the year. We should realize that despite the fact that each one is going to his place, but we're connected. So the Koyach of Achdus is very important when it comes before you start davening and say, it's very important. The Achdus usually, it sounds very nice. You know, it sounds very nice because you're thinking about a Jew that you never heard of, you never saw, a guy walking in that looks totally the opposite of you, and when you nice him. But Achdus means your next door neighbor, your brother, your sister. I feel it every soul, even the person that you hate the most because you know him the most. And what did they say? I wouldn't, whoever it was one saying that if today if you go to the head table and there's a bunch of great people sitting, so he says, you want to empty out the head table, you say your brother is about to come, and Brother Kim. So it's the guy that's the most closest to you that sometimes it's the hardest. Alright, so Simchas Torah teaches us the importance of Achdus, and Achdus and the Achdus demands a lot of bittul. Everyone will say, you know what, I'm ready for Biden and Putin to make peace. I'm ready for there to be peace in the Middle East. Such a wonderful idea that the Taliban should make peace with them. All these ideas are beautiful. But that I should make peace with the guy that I've been embroiled in the fight for 10 years. No, never in a million years. That is I'm right, he's wrong. How dare you do it? You understand? So that's very hard, it's very difficult. But that's the koyach, Simchas Torah, a Jew. What Sukkot, what Yiddishkeit tries to knock into our heads is that idea of Achdus. The idea that we're all together. And it's a lot of work, but it's something we have to constantly remember, and it's very important for everything. Bereishis and Bereishis, if a person lives a life where everyone he sees, there's always positive and negative. The Frierdiker Rebbe told Rabbi Posner, Rabbi Leibel Posner, I think his name, when he went on Shlichus, Mega Shlichus, he says, when you see the negative things in others, you should see it in small letters. The Milas, you should see in big letters. We have an ego. I also have one. Naturally, we always try, if we see somebody that's bad, something bad in someone, we like to inflate it. It makes us feel better about ourselves and someone else. We feel guilty. We hate ourselves.
When we find out somebody's already incarcerated, he's rich for all these years.
Yeah, well, listen, that should be the biggest crime in life. But we makes us feel good that someone else is not any better than us. But when we see something good that he does, no, he didn't really mean it. There's a okay, so what is that? So in other words, maybe if you think about it, if you would be willing to forego your ego, you could gain a lot. Maybe try to learn from him. Maybe our ego stands in the way. It's all about me. If it's all about me, it's all about nothing. Because if it's about me, I can't say that someone else has anything. If, let's say, I need advice, if I have a question to ask, or if I want to even just listen to someone, I can't listen to him because I should be listening to myself. So when we let go of our ego, which is the most difficult thing in the world, life looks much better. So the Simchas Torah, the Simcha Poiris God, the Simcha breaks boundaries between one Jew and another Jew. And it gives us the koyach to know that we're all one. And the Achdus is I think, in general, there's many things that need to be fixed. There's no question about it. The list is endless. But one Inyan Klali, which is something we always need to emphasize, and many things, in general, particularly as time goes on, in the world in general, in the Jewish world also, to a certain extent, we become more and more polarized. It's us and us and them. The definition of us and them keeps on getting, the gap always keeps on getting bigger and bigger.
Polarizing.
And there's always this group and that group. Even 50 years ago, 70 years ago, it wasn't such you were Lubavitch, you were Satmar, you were this. It wasn't like, you weren't so far apart. Today, it's all about this group, that group. Baruch Hashem, I definitely would say Baruch Hashem, there's definitely a lot of building interrelationships.
So it's a good
people.
thing to have different groups.
There's nothing wrong with having different groups, but when they become polarized, like it's us and them. Now imagine when it becomes that it's my group and no one can penetrate into my group, and we have to keep distinct and we can't show that we're connected. Whatever it is, it comes from Simchas Torah. It's important in general that a person should look at things the way they are, the way Torah looks at things, the way Torah looks at the world, and the way Torah looks at another Jew, and the way I should look at another Jew. And it's not easy. The same way it's not easy, the world seems to have rules of its own. So the social life also has rules of its own. There's me, there's them. This guy is Breslov, this guy is Lubavitch, this guy is Satmar, Litvish, Snagdish, Chassidish. This Lubavitch has this belief, that Lubavitch has that belief, or in anything.
We're from the Shalom, we're this.
So there's many people. If you look at, so everyone has their advantage. If you look at things, we're different. No one's saying you shouldn't be different. It's very good to have your own unique contribution, but when it comes, is us and so Torah is the idea of Achdus. And if you want to know that you're connected with Torah, is when you look at things from a perspective of Achdus. If you look at things in perspective, it's me and them, me and it. L'chaim, we should all incorporate this. And the Bereishis bottle.
So you're saying Simchas Torah brings us together? Is that
absolutely, 100%. We're coming now. Bereishis bottle l'kim es Shemaim Esar. The Jew has the power to create heaven and earth. When you learn Torah, Torah rules the world. If you go with Torah's perspective, so when a person makes a firm commitment that he'll live his life by Torah, doesn't mean he has to become a tzaddik gomer. It means to make achlotas tevis, try to get closer. So then he has the ability to affect change in the heaven and the earth. The Rebbe would speak siches how the world is shaking, right? In general, the world is shaking. The world is very destabilized, no question about it. But also in a good way, the world is shaking. It means the Jew has the power to shake up the world. The Jew has the power to create change. When? First of all, if he doesn't, he's limited by the world. If he realizes that Torah supersedes the world and lives that life that way, he could change the world. He could affect change. The world, even changing yourself is also changing the world. You know that for most people anyway, the whole world is about themselves. But changing yourself is changing the world. But you're changing the world. And also, there's the idea of Achdus, that there has to be, we're all in it together. Right? Torah finishes Le'inei Kol Yisrael, all eaten together. So we should all incorporate these lessons from Simchas Torah, from Shabbos Bereishis, and we should have, when it says when Mashiach will come, there'll be a Shemaim Chadash and Eretz Chadash, there'll be a new world. Why is there going to be a new world? Because there'll be a new Torah. Someone told me, the Rabbi says, the reason why you dance with the Torah closed up, because when Mashiach will come, it'll be a totally new Torah. So compared to the Torah that we have when Mashiach will come, the Torah that we have now is closed. You don't. So, but that's the simcha of the coming of the new Torah. It'll be a new Torah. It'll be a whole different. Today we're living, we're struggling. Mashiach will come. Mashiach will give us a perspective. We'll open up our eyes. We'll start looking at things very differently. We'll start appreciating life in a way we never did before. And that'll bring about physical change as well in the world. It'll be a new world, physically and spiritually. We should merit to take it from Yad Mamish, the light of Mashiach, L'chaim, L'chaim.
Chaim.